Did you
Alright,
cut out?
okay. Yeah, second one wanted to go. My bad, I accidentally clicked on stage, but okay. Uh, yeah. So
Okay.
it just blatantly states that Daido cannot wield or doesn't wield curse energy, therefore he has a heavenly restriction, same as Maki and Toji.
I don't think that's stated, but could you send the scans for that, please?
Yeah, I said the scan.
One moment. What, 193? See if this is different
I
to the
think so.
Viz translation, sorry.
You said what?
I'm seeing if this translation website is different to the Viz translation.
Oh, you're using those buns external translations? It's
I just want to
195 by
get
the way.
both.
Uh, okay, I guess I'll see what the other one says. By the way, Daigo's in JJK. Wait, what do you mean crossverse, guys?
It's not crossverse, it's a JJK inverse debate.
Is Daigo that unknown?
Okay, well, I can't seemingly use any TCB scans because the TCB website just forces you to fucking go through ads. So I'm only gonna, I don't know, use like Viz or whatever translations I can get from my scan service. If you
Alright.
find TCB scans, I would use them over Viz, but I don't have TCB scans.
Well, I mean, I only have I mean not TCB, I only have this scans myself, so uh,
Okay.
that's the best translation too.
No. TCB is usually better. Let's see.
But well, I guess if you find the the scans, just let me know.
Okay. I'm gonna look at a scan server really quickly just to see if there's any alternate translation to the thing. Not because I'm saying that you're wrong, but because I think it's gonna give us better context for the conversation.
You know, that is a thought you can have, I suppose.
Huh.
Or maybe this Daigo translation is the only one in existence and it's just the most correct, so I mean, hey.
Okay, here's both of the scans I have from the TCB translation of Daido. They basically say the same thing based on what like I see, but I mean, maybe we'll find something different later on. Where
I think
is the
Avster
other one?
20
Sorry. One moment, I'm gonna post them in scans chat.
Alright. Good, the beggars aren't happy, bro. Watch any Infinity Wreck, he is like hackling and crackling, bro, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not what he did beforehand. My interpretation of this is as a swordsman, he just has a lot of lethality, and when he puts a sword in his hand, that lethality just, I don't know, surprises everyone, but you probably already agree with that. I agree he doesn't have cursed energy. Well, wait, hold on. I don't know if I agree with that. Okay, so the translation says he fights with his swordsmanship and not with cursed energy. I'm pretty sure you need cursed energy for a domain sure hit to target you, and that's what the TCB translation says in comparison to the Viz translation, which I think is more accurate. So I guess it was good to grab that.
Okay, so what are you saying?
Just give me the raw Japanese and I'm gonna. He doesn't have cursed energy, Lama. Yeah, I mean, he does have cursed energy, bro. It's just that, like, you know, he just doesn't utilize the cursed energy because otherwise, now his domain expansion wouldn't target him with the sure hit.
I think it would actually because he has the sword.
No, domain expansions target objects or human beings with cursed energy as their sure hit. However, if it was targeting the sword, that wouldn't make any sense because the domain expansion is described to work as in it targets the cells of the people, that the sure hit hits. And then what it does as a result is it freezes those cells. So the moment that anyone else moves, their body just falls apart, given that their cells are frozen, while the rest of their cells are, moving.
I never said it was targeting the sword. I said he has the sword, and the relevance is that it's a curse that that cursed energy that's going to be on it is going to be like on his hand, so it could target his hand.
Okay, so I mean, I already disagree with that, but that's not really relevant for the conversation. I guess if you're already going to agree that the domain expansion is going to be able to target Daido, so we're good on that.
That okay. The reason that I mean, the reason why he can't target it is not going to defeat towards him not having curse energy, but I think we glossed past him not actually having curse energy. So
I mean,
honestly,
I do
I
think
don't
he
rank
does
this.
have cursed energy. However, I'm just gonna say, for the context of this conversation, domain expansion traits can work on him.
Okay, but also I was just gonna say, this transition, I don't really see why we would value this because, um, like it would make sense if he didn't have some sort of heavenly restriction because like he's named as a swordsman without peer, and obviously other swordsmen will have cursed energy, so it wouldn't make sense if like this regular human was going against these like people of cursed energy and like somehow still winning.
I mean, I don't know why that wouldn't make sense. You don't think that some people can just be inherently strong? I can argue. I mean, I already can make the argument for why he does have cursed energy, but regardless of that, he is a superhuman. So you could just say in the context of like the statement is saying that he's a swordsman without peer, not because he's a swordsman that's at the specific level while the other swordsmen do not have cursed energy, but rather that he's a swordsman without peer because he is the only swordsman at that specific level of power or to that degree in swordsmanship.
That's a interesting. Wait, let me look over the statement again real quick. Uh, oh wait, actually, I'm gonna check your translation real quick.
That is the incarnation of a nameless but brutally unmatched swordsman. Among the players, he is a special case who only fights with his swordsmanship and not with curse energy.
So the thing is
And
though,
what
like
over
it's
what?
like a general statement. It's saying like generally he's unmatched. I don't see why like it's not. I don't see why that would be specifically in reference to like this specific like category of swordsman when it doesn't specify.
I mean, I probably think it's gonna be in reference to power, like how, like combative ability, his odds of winning against other people in a fight. But if you wanted to say skill or whatever, I don't really give a fuck. It doesn't really matter to me. I do think he does have cursed energy, though. I mean, what is
But
your
wait, that
argument
helps
for
me
why?
though
What
because
is your argument though for like why Daido beats Hakari? Like I'm confused. Like I'm waiting for
real
that.
quick, I just that actually helps me if you say like it's not in reference to skill and like combative ability because I already said that it's unreasonable to assume that a regular human because that's what he would had this like had curse energy but never used it. And yeah, so it'd be unreasonable to say that he could beat these other people with curse energy when he doesn't use it. And also, you make a claim that he has like this superhuman body, like, or he would have it if he didn't have a heavenly restriction and just didn't use his curse energy. But I need proof for that. But as for, I mean, you can address that if you want, but or do you want me to just say why Hakari uh, loses to Daigo?
I mean, if you've already agreed during the conversation that Hakari's domain expansion is going to work on Daido, I kind of just want to see the reason as to why, you think Daido's going to beat Hakari since, you're on the affirmative, you're starting out first. But I can send the scans for that because that is how domain expansions work. That's the whole plot of the fight because Maki she loses all of her cursed energy during the fight, and then towards the end, because she doesn't have cursed energy, she off guards Naoya and kills him because Naoya doesn't understand that Maki doesn't have cursed energy, so he doesn't notice when she just slips in between the barrier and then just, kills him. I mean, I'll literally show that to you now. Like,
Okay.
wait, oh, hold on, 1 second. 1 second, sorry. Yeah, I'll send you these. These are like the Viz translations. I'll look for the TCB ones in a second. What I'll also say,
Alright.
though, in response to the whole Daido point, if I say, for example, I am an unmatched bodybuilder, do you think it makes any sense for people to interpret that as I'm an unmatched bodybuilder because I'm a paraplegic? Paraplegic, sorry. Like the guy is like fucking, I don't know,
No.
handicapped, he can't use his legs. And then you hear the statement, he is an unmatched bodybuilder. Are you going to say that it's because he doesn't have any legs that he can use or just doesn't have any legs in comparison to other bodybuilders? I just don't think that's like how people interpret these kinds of statements. It doesn't make any sense. So,
Yeah.
I think it's
That,
probably going to be in reference to the guy having a better physique. The same way like Daido is a better swordsman than other people.
okay, wait. So you bring up like this incoherency about like how statements that say this, if it was for this strange reason, it wouldn't make sense like for general interpretations. And that refers to something else that makes more sense. But if I recall correctly, all I said was that when he was like a lethal, like if you like apply that same logic to my argument, Daido is this unmatched swordsman because he can beat other swordsmen, like generally with cursed energy, while he would probably have a heavily restriction that would make him that strong. And it's just coupled with the fact that he doesn't use or wield curse energy. I mean, it depends on the translation, but still. And then you say like, well, um, honestly, I don't even know where you got like this incoherent interpretation from. I don't believe I said anything incoherent. So that whole first point was very peculiar.
Second.
By the way, what'd you say about the Maki thing? Like, Fugi, he kind of doxed me and, turned off my Wi-Fi. I couldn't hear you exactly.
What are you
I just
talking
you,
about?
you guys showed up to my door, knock, knock, knock. I couldn't hear you. Is this another translation? No.
Yeah, sorry, I was just talking to chat for a second, but I mean, so he's like an unparalleled swordsman or whatever. I'm pretty sure is the translation. I'll just look at that again. He is a swordsman without peers, what you sent, and my thing says a brutally unmatched swordsman. So can you just quantify that? Like, where's that going to get him? Sure, he's above other swordsmen. How does his back skill to Hakari? Why does him being a brutally unmatched swordsman or a swordsman without peer now make it so that he is above Hakari and he would probably beat Hakari in a fight?
I never said that. I never said that him being just this brutally unmatched swordsman would grant him scaling of Akari. I was just using that to prove that he doesn't have curse energy. I think Daigo kills Akari because he has like that soul slash Duranek thing.
I mean, I would probably agree that if like Daido does land a blow on Hakari, he's probably gonna kill him. But could you prove that Daido is like relative to Hakari or faster than him whatsoever to where he could actually perform this feat?
Okay, so since you didn't give like adequate responses to like Daigo having a heavenly restriction, I'm just gonna assume for the sake of this debate that he does. If he does it, then I guess I lose here. But just assuming that, then I'm just gonna scale Maki above Akari real quick.
I mean, he probably has some heavenly restriction. That's a good theory. But I mean, I do think he has curse energy, but I mean, we don't need to argue about that right now. But just give me your argument for why you think that Daido can just hit Hakari and kill him.
Okay, wait. Okay, so there's two. Okay, wait. Do you grant like the soul slash Duranek thingy, or do you want me to say
Yeah.
that? Okay.
It cuts through your skin. No, no, no. Well, it's not that it cuts through your skin. If it cuts, through your skin, it doesn't just go beyond that to like your organs or your flesh or your blood. After that, it would go to your soul and cut the soul itself.
You're saying it doesn't cut through your skin and it just, well, after it cuts through your skin, it just doesn't continue cutting your flesh and just cuts your soul?
Yeah.
I would just say that's inconsistent with what we see on panel. I'm just going to send the panel real quick of that.
Do you think it's like if it touches anything, it just cuts it directly to the soul?
I think it cuts the soul and the thing it's touching, but I'll just send the panel. Let me show you. Because he blatantly just doesn't just cut the skin of a Cursia, he cuts through all of Cursia. So let me.
So do you think it's like when it cuts, at the same time it's cutting the skin and cutting through the flesh, it's also cutting the soul? I have an issue with that.
I mean, I don't know the specifics. All I like it cuts through the flesh and then cuts the soul somehow. So
I mean, do
yeah,
you
just
want to
like the
agree
panel.
with like my, I guess, condition then? As long as like Daido can cut Hakari with the sword, it's gonna cut to his soul. But he needs to cut through
Uh,
him first. Like if Hakari wants to hold it, as long as the blade doesn't pierce him, he's fine.
are you talking like if Akari was holding the blade or Daigo did a slash against him?
Like let's say Daido did a slash on him and Hakari just like blocked the blade with his hands. It's not just gonna slide through his hands, cut his soul, and then he's just fucked and he loses the fight. Like it has
Oh
to
no, I
cut
think it
through his
would do that
skin.
actually. It would probably, it would probably like fillet Hakari.
Okay, then why is it that Sukuna is able to hold the blade without like his like soul just getting cut the fuck up?
It's like that like he has this mechanism against sword where he uses like slashes to, grip the blade safely. I can send that if you want.
So that's gonna be his curse technique. So if he uses cleave and dismantle, he's gonna shoot the blade, sure. And that's used against Yuta because that way it kind of pushes back against the force of the blade so that it doesn't like cut and kill him while he's trying to like block Yuta's blade or whatever. Well, I don't know about kill him, but it would just cut him. But with the Maki thing, you can see he's not using any slashes or whatever. And even if he pushed back against the force, it's just gonna slide through and then cut his soul. So it kind of doesn't make any sense for it to be what you're saying rather than what I'm saying. If you're trying to say that the sword just cuts directly through the skin and to the soul, and he can't like touch the blade whatsoever without his soul getting cut.
Okay, well, the thing is, so, you said like Sukuna shoots, cleaves, and dismantles at the sword. I mean, that's gonna be inconsistent with what we're showing. I mean, he just like makes the cleaves constantly around his hand. I'll just send a statement, but also you
Well,
said
I don't know
Maki.
if he's like shooting the dismantle. Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but he uses his curse technique like a buzzsaw to grip the blade without getting hurt.
Yeah, well, either way, it's not consistent with just shooting them. But I'll say he doesn't shoot them against Maki, but I'm just gonna interpret that as just like we don't see a visual of him using this maneuver against Maki. But that would matter because against Yuta, I mean, we know he should be doing this like consistently since that like is the thing he chooses to do against Yuta's sword. And later on, the visual depiction does disappear. So obviously, we might just be able to equate this to Gege not wanting to draw this redundant detail. But I'll send the panel stuff real quick. Let me get the chainsaw, whatever that is, real quick.
I mean, why are you trying to send the chainsaw thing? What are you trying to prove off of that?
Well, no, I'm just trying to send a visual depiction of a uh, the actual chainsaw thingy. If there is even a visual depiction, now that I look at it.
I mean, like, why though? Like, what is that gonna do?
Um, well, just to show that it's not like he's not shooting out these cleaves, and also just like to give us an idea of what it looks like.
Wait, I agree.
Um,
He's not shooting it out like dismantle. He's probably using cleave around the blade. I already agreed
Okay,
to that.
and then what else? There's oh yeah, well actually, I don't even need to send any other panel because if you look at the thing I sent or whatever this guy sent in chat, I don't know his name. Yeah, it's too
Yeah,
dark.
I see what he sent.
Yeah, so as you can see, I already used the argument that later on, this Gege might not want to draw redundant details, so he might not specifically show this exact thing happening to every time Sukuna grasp the sword. But also, as you can see here, it seems like Sukuna's grabbing that thing pretty firm, like it just looks like that thing's really on his hands, yet he's still not getting cut because of this cleave thing. So when you say like if he's like gripping the soul split katana, he would not get cut. And you also said that like okay, it's possible that the soul split katana can cut through the cleaves or like its pressure or force or whatever can just force its way through the cleave, but I don't think that's provable. So yeah.
Well, I didn't say it would be through the force. I just said he could cut through it, and that's because like curse techniques, they aren't physical. Like you can't grab a curse technique whatsoever. But it is like a thing where if it's shot out, it can like interact with physical objects one way, but it doesn't draw back to the curse technique itself where you can grab the curse technique. So that's not really how that works. If you want to like respond to cursed energy, you have to use cursed energy. You can't just use the body or some physical object. You have to use cursed energy itself, which isn't physical. And in response to what you said, I mean, even if I wanted to say some stupid shit like the cleaves come out of the hand and he just showed the detail once but never again, I just don't think that makes any sense because in this instance, he has like his forearm up against Maki's soul split katana, and Maki's trying to cut through him, but it's not cutting through him. And cleaves usually come through Sukuna's hands, and I think that's how they come out. I don't think they likely come out through like his forearm or whatever. I think they specifically have to come out of the palm of his hand. So that's why I don't think it makes any sense to say that it can just cut through literally anything as long as it just like touches it or I guess like a person at least, because you probably think like there has to be like a soul for it to turn an egg or whatever.
Okay, so honestly, I know Grant cursed energy is non-physical, but honestly, I don't think that has any relevance. The point is,
I mean, if you don't grant it, can you argue against it instead of just saying you don't grant it during the debate? Because that's an argument I'm using to defeat your argument.
you know what? Okay, sure. I'll just send this panel of Gojo, like Gojo's cursed energy, just hitting the soda can real quick. I think that's like chapter.
Wait,
I
no,
don't
no,
know.
that wouldn't prove your claim because when Gojo hits the I guess, soda can. He's using his own cursed energy upon a physical object. I'm saying that physical objects themselves cannot interact with cursed energy. You need cursed energy to interact with cursed energy. It doesn't work like a two-way thing. Cursed energy can touch other stuff, or at least come into contact with other stuff, but other stuff which is physical can't touch cursed energy. Only cursed energy can touch cursed energy.
That was gonna be the claim of doom right there. I don't know how you could ever prove that. Like that specific connection that is like it's only one way. But since you're already familiar
Uh,
with the soda panel, I'll just not send it. Like as for um this whole Maki thingy, like with Sukuna not being able to send his slashes on his forearm or whatever, I think we blatantly see him do this. But if not, if I'm just misremembering, it is clear that he can actually use his cleaves without his hands, and like he just send them out anywhere. So honestly, I don't see why. I
that's
can send her,
dismantled. That's not cleave.
or well, maybe not. Yeah, so yeah. I mean, regardless, I'm pretty sure this ability says it's.
You
Well, it
think
doesn't
he's using
even.
a
Yuta doesn't
dismantle
specify.
on
So.
Maki's sword in the skin I said in VC skin, just for clarification?
Okay, well, okay, so yeah, I guess Yuta doesn't specify its cleave, so I mean, it's probably dismantle. So yeah, you're gonna just send dismantles anywhere just cause, pretty much. I can send that if you want, but you're probably
Um,
already familiar.
well, the thing is though, with the dismantles have to be fired out, and when you're already putting your hand around a blade, it makes more sense to use cleave specifically than dismantle there, because cleave actually adjusts itself to the target's toughness so that it can cut it down in one fell swoop, is I think what is stated in the story. So I don't know why he would use the weaker ability dismantle there to respond to you to sword slash. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Um, well, the thing is though, is like cleave adjusts to the target's toughness. Obviously, like it cuts to their curse energy level and stuff. So I don't see how it would cut to like adjust to a sword. Well, actually, no, wait, no, never mind, because he does use it on inanimate objects. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. Well, it's clear that Sukuna cuffs his hand around the thing, like around the swords, or like he gets his arm or whatever very close to the blade of the sword. He like uses his cleave, whether it be preemptively or like just enough time to actually use this maneuver effectively. So regardless, whether he's like using like these short range cleave, I mean dismantle fires, this mechanism still works, as we can see. So I
I mean,
don't really
I
see a
didn't say
problem.
that it wouldn't work. I didn't say that. I said the issue is it doesn't make sense for him to use it, given, that it's weaker.
Uh, I mean, it's still adequate though. I'm like to work. Even if it wasn't like the strongest thing, like if he just like uses this weaker thing, honestly, that's a better argument for like him conserving more energy or something. So
Conserving more energy. Gojo and Sukuna have so much curse energy that it kind of seems unfeasible that they would run out of curse energy in a fight.
I mean, I could say that normally they would probably have like this insane level of curse energy efficiency, but like actually, no, I'm not gonna go that route. I'm just gonna say that Sukuna, he doesn't know what could happen in this fight, so literally Gojo could possibly come back, or I'm not saying he specifically thinks this, but there's a bunch of fighters, he already grants that their output his output's getting weakened because of them. So even if it's a small level of consumption, he probably would still want to conserve his energy.
Your output is, I guess, like the quality of the curse energy being outputted from your body. It's not really, or just into the body as well, if you think that output is correlated with the reinforcement of the body itself. The issue is with this argument, though, that output decreasing is not quantity decreasing. Okay, the quantity of his curse energy doesn't decrease when he gets hit by an attack necessarily. When he says his output decreases, that just means the potency of his curse energy, how strong it is, decreases. So that doesn't really prove that he wants to conserve stamina or whatever.
Oh, I never said that output was correlated to curse energy quantity. I just said that he I just said that he grants or he thinks that the Jitsu high sorcerers are weakening his output, and I do agree that output is like the quality or the strength of your curse energy. So basically, in other words, he's just admitting that guys, they're making me weaker. These bums, they're jumping me. And from his perspective, obviously, if he like just gets so super duper weak, I mean, he's getting weaker, a lot weaker. And if he just like has to keep on fighting this long, drawn, prolonged battle, he might as well be in it for the long run and conserve some energy, even if it's like minimal, because you never know. You never know.
Well, the issue
That's
is
the
that I have with that argument is that Sukuna has so much curse energy and so much efficiency with that curse energy that even after 10 chapters had passed from chapter 250 in Jujutsu Kaisen to chapter 260 in Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna uses a domain expansion, which is literally the technique that uses the most like curse energy out of any other technique in the story. He uses a multitude of attacks and everything. He uses RCT and everything. And this guy's curse energy amount is literally still at the exact same level. It's stated. So, I mean, this is after fighting Yuta, this is after fighting Maki, this is after fighting Yuji, getting beat up by Yuji, this is after fighting Todo, this is after fighting Kusakabe. I mean, like, I really don't think, like, Sukuna is concerned about curse energy conservation, sorry.
Well, the problem is that it's not about how truly efficient his cursed energy efficiency is. It's just going to be about his mental perception. Obviously, I already gave an argument about how he could believe that he may something possible. To end this fight is just in his best interest to conserve his energy, especially since he doesn't know what could happen next. But also, I could just say that like regardless, honestly, you just had to like prove if like he's unaware of like his cursed energy consumption now, or like how much cursed energy he's like losing at their certain point in fight.
Okay, I mean, in response to that, Sugane literally has the hardest fight of his life against Gojo Satoru from chapter 223 of JJK to chapter 236 of JJK. He has a multitude of attacks, a multitude of domain expansions and whatnot, essentially nearly his entire arsenal. So for him to not be aware and not be privy of like how much cursed energy he uses and how much cursed energy he loses when he uses specific attacks, it just seems unlikely that he would have this mentality of, okay, I'm going to conserve my cursed energy because I'm going to run out if I use too much or whatever, because he literally fought Gojo. I'm pretty sure he was going all out, and this guy still, after fighting 10, well, not 10 different people, but he fights for 10 chapters straight. He has the exact same curse energy quantity that he had 10 chapters prior in chapter 250 of JJK. So I really don't think he has that mentality. I think it's super unlikely given that.
Okay, but that's under normative circumstances, though. That's when he's like, he has all these abilities. He's probably used them at some point, and she should maybe know in those instances, like maybe when he was 15 finger, how much curse energy he's losing. But we can't say that would apply to this situation because he's distracted by this fight. We don't know if like seeing your own curse energy requires focus in the moment or not. We also gotta say that Sukuna here, he has any like metric to go off of for his own curse energy because he says only when Yuta shows up he can like give some statement about the quantity of his curse energy. So obviously in that scenario, if he knew, like, I mean, I guess you could sense that Yuta does have this like large amount of curse energy, but since his natural sense of curse energy was like way higher before, like Yuta says, like twice or almost like double. Obviously, he's probably gonna be like, well, he doesn't say this, but in his mind, maybe subconsciously, he's like, oh, dang, I got super weak. My curse energy is like just down the drain. I'm related to this bomb, basically. So, point is, just that Sukuna's perception in that moment of his own curse energy reserves, may not be in the best light, and we don't know if he knows how efficient he is in that moment, considering the damages to his brain and whatever else.
So he already receives a bunch of damages and whatnot that you're speaking of earlier on in this story, and what ends up happening is by chapter 251 of the story, while he's getting jumped, to counter your point about how getting jumped might distract you, which might make it so that you're unaware of your own curse energy reserves, he's getting jumped by Yuta and Yuji, and he comments that his curse energy now likely matches the curse energy quantity of Yuta's. So it seems super unlikely to be what you're speaking of, rather more in line of what I'm speaking of even though he's getting jumped, he still knows what's going on. A slight side comment though is you were wrong about the whole Yuta comment. He doesn't comment about Yuta's curse energy when Yuta pulls up randomly when he isn't getting jumped. He comments on Yuta's curse energy in response to his own curse energy reserves dropping off and depleting in chapter 251 of the story while he's getting jumped by Yuji and Yuta.
Where is that? I think it was like in 250.
No, 250 is when Yuta shows up.
Wait, no, because they're already like in the middle of fighting in 251. Let me go to 250, like the earlier the main fight.
They are fighting in 250, you're right, but I'm pretty sure. Hold on.
Specifically,
let me see when he makes the comment. Sorry. I'm sorry, I don't see the statement. Do you have the statement? I'm confused. I don't see where it is anymore.
Of like, I'm just gonna say But obviously, so let me see. There's a period that there's like this impact battle where Sukuna has this time to think. Obviously, Sukuna's you know
No, he says it in 250. Sorry to interrupt you. You're right.
yeah, but like before this, all Sukuna does is get attacked. But like in between him getting attacked and Yuji flying towards him, Sukuna thinks of this nonsense, and obviously he's not getting attacked. He's able to focus. Uh, so there's no contradiction really.
You're saying he's not getting attacked while he's thinking about this, so there's no contradiction in that. Well, I mean, if you're just saying that, like in the middle of battle, if he's not getting attacked during one moment, he can just focus up and I guess like figure out how much curse energy he has and how much curse energy he's lost to figure out, his I guess like loss of curse energy per attack and the reserves he currently has. Then in other fights, he literally does have these breaks, well, small breaks, not like relevant breaks, where he's able to just sit there for a second where he isn't getting attacked by anyone, and he's able to make these comments just like you're talking about. So it just seems like you're kind of special pleading because these other like circumstances are present in other fights, but you're saying like this fight is different, but you haven't really explained why it's different.
Yeah, it's also different because in this fight, he only knows like it's Yuji, Yuta, Rika, and I'm pretty sure he thinks that he just like kill them all if he wanted to. So honestly, in the other portions of the fight, I'm not sure if like those same examples apply where like he's 100% confident if he just like doesn't do anything, he's not gonna get absolutely mollywopped. Whether it be Yuji lowering his output and then him getting jumped, or Maki with her Duraneg sword, by the way, coming in killing him. We don't. It just the example does not apply here. Like two different fighting scenarios. But just real quick, I have a question. Just let's just say that.
Sorry, what was the reason that you said for
um,
why? I'm sorry for interrupting you, but what was the reason that you said for why the two fights aren't like synonymous? Like why they're not the same? Why they're not analogous?
Oh yeah, because in this portion of the fight, I mean, Sukuna is just aware that it's Rika, Yuji, Yuta, just them, and obviously, pretty sure if he wanted to, he could just kill them, like all of them, just like that. Just like that. They pose really no threat to him. If he wanted to. However, in other battle scenarios, there's going to be a different level of danger, obviously, because Maki come out of nowhere after a certain point with her Duraneg sword. And there's obviously Yuji capable of weakening his output when there is this monstrous threat present. And then there's obviously just other bears like Choso. He could take a Black Flash. What else? Miguel beat bro up very badly. So just this higher level of danger probably where the two scenarios do not apply. You might not have like the same moment or focus.
Well, he fights Kusakabe in chapter 254, so do you think the combination of Toto and Yuji Itadori in chapter 260 poses a greater threat or an inferior threat to that of Kusakabe in chapter 254?
So on Yuji, he just land more hits and beat him up. That's arguably
You're saying they are a greater threat?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if they are a greater threat and your critique is about like the strength disparity of the fighters, you're saying like Maki could be stronger than Yuji, and Yuta, fucking Miguel could also be stronger than them, which could like not give him the time to actually think about these things. Kusakabe is weaker than these guys, and he doesn't make the comment against Kusakabe. He doesn't make the comment against other people that his curse energy reserves are depleting like massively or whatever. Well, not a comment that he would like have curse energy reserves be depleted because that's not the point at hand. It would just be that like he can notice his curse energy in that specific moment and regulate it, depending on what he just did. Yet he doesn't, Yet no. According to you, you think he doesn't have that capability, but given the aspects of the fight and your critiques of the argument, he probably should be able to notice how much curse energy he has lost against Kusakabe. Well, while fighting Kusakabe, sorry.
And your point is, I agree, he could probably notice. He tried to.
Well, this
What
is
would you
just
say?
a critique. This is just a critique the original critique of the argument, which was just that Sukuna might not know how much curse energy he's lost or how much he does lose when he uses a specific attack. So he might not be able to regulate himself properly because he doesn't have the information. So given that, that is why even though he hasn't lost a single drop of curse energy in 10 chapters after fighting a bunch of people, he might just choose to literally just play passive. I wouldn't say play passive, but be more defensive, play less risky, and just keep some of the reserves of curse energy instead of just using cleave instead of dismantle.
You kind of ignored all the other variables I imposed. Because I said that one, Sukuna was using Yuta as a metric for him actually sensing his curse energy or like how much he should have, which Yuta's not here, so he can't say if he can sense how much curse energy he has, because since he doesn't have like this comparison. Also,
You think Sukuna has some difficulty sensing curse energy if it's not from an opponent who's at a certain level of strength? I don't think that's ever been stated once in the series or implied whatsoever that Sukuna would have that issue. But if your critique is also about the cleave ability using more curse energy than dismantle, I don't even know if I would grant that Cleave uses more cursed energy, but if I did, the issue would be that Sukuna does use the Cleave technique against Yuta during the fight, so that's why it doesn't really make any sense to say, oh, he's worried about conserving, but then he's doing something which, as you said, would not be conserving.
when does he use cleave against Yuta? And I also said that Sukuna may have trouble. Well, I'm just saying Sukuna in this scenario, we don't know his capability since he's way weakened, his brain's damaged, all this stuff. And he uses when he actually does make a statement about his curse energy, he has this relevant object Yuta who has a similar level of curse energy to him. So we can't say that external from him seeing Yuta and sensing his curse energy that he would be able to get a good grasp of his own curse energy. But yeah, when does he use cleave against Yuta? By the way, I do not know.
Well, it uses
That
it in the
never
Yuta
happened.
fight. I mean, I don't remember if it was
Yeah, but
against
that's
Yuta in specific, but regardless, he does use the technique, so it did seem like he
against Rika.
does. He uses it against Reika. And also, you asked me to prove something earlier. I kind of want to touch up on that. If you want, you can take a second to write down my point, and then we can come back to it, or I'll just write it down myself. This is just about just debunking, Sukuna wanting to conserve CE. So you asked me to prove that C doesn't have two-way interactions. So earlier on in the story, when Nanami is having a flashback to, when he was depressed and everything, and they went to a bakery where this one lady said that her shoulder feels weird and she's been having back problems. Nanami is a jujutsu sorcerer. He can see cursed spirits, unlike the regular human at the bakery. So we can see the cursed spirit there on her shoulder, and she keeps touching her shoulder, but she's not feeling the cursed spirit. Usually when you touch things, you get a sense of touch, but she doesn't get the sense of touch. She doesn't know what's going on. All she knows is that her shoulder feels heavy and everything. So given that, I would just say that you can't actually touch curse energy unless you use curse energy itself.
I'm pretty sure that's just gonna be. I'm pretty sure just stated that whenever you interact with cursed energy or something, it's just you just can't notice. But let me see.
That wouldn't make any sense. What? You can notice when you interact with curse energy? What are you talking about?
For example, let's say if I have this fridge in front of me, and let's say
Well, I know what
my
that means. I'm saying that doesn't make any sense because I don't think that's true. But could you show me the statement, please?
yeah, let me see if I can find it. I think I don't really. It's like a random extra.
Okay.
Um,
You want me to get?
actually,
Can we put a time limit on scans? Because I don't want to wait for a long time if you can't find the scan.
all right.
Uh,
Got
I can give you
it.
10 minutes. You people usually say 5 or 3.
That's fine. Well, sure, but as number one good faith debater on Discord, I'll just
Thank you.
grant that curse energy has two-way interaction. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah. But what is that grant
It's
again?
Well, if there's
I think that was
two-way
the argument.
cursed energy, if there's two-way cursed energy interactions, I mean, what exactly would that prove?
I remember
Sorry,
like it didn't even
hold
grant
on.
anything. Obster bro
No, it
Gooster.
it does it does grant something in specific, but 1 second.
I mean, because if I remember earlier, like this was just like an irrelevant point. Honestly, you provided no reason as to why this two-way interaction was relevant, but that's why I'm granting it in the first place. Then it's just true, actually. Boogie, I assume I heard your voice yesterday. You're probably of, the darker skin tone. So it's always you debaters, not good faith. Just, I'm not like that. I'm a beautiful light skinned man.
Oh, so the reason why I talked about two-way interactions of cursed energy was because Maki's Soul Split Katana, that weapon that she has in specific, that weapon would just slide through the cursed energy. It wouldn't interact with it. The cursed energy would cut at the sword, but the sword wouldn't be stopped by the cursed energy. So it would slide through and touch Sukuna's, arm and everything, his forearm, when he's using the forearm to block the Soul Split Katana. So if you're trying to make the argument that the Soul Split Katana is able to just cut directly, through people's skin into their souls, then that wouldn't be true, given the fact that, like, there's nothing stopping her. Her Soul Split Katana was already, I guess, swung and slashed towards Sukuna, and given that it should be touching his skin, if it's touching his skin and it's not directly cutting into his soul, like you said earlier, then that would just, disprove your argument.
Okay, wait. You said that the reason why the sword can cut through was like a virtue of force or something like that, which I put into question. But if you're gonna say now that like, okay, well, because this
Well,
is
sorry,
one
can
way
I just,
interaction.
may I interrupt you? I don't think you understood what I was saying earlier. I wasn't saying it overpowered the cursed energy with force. Rather, what I was just saying is it has force and it's going to move in a specific direction. So it's going to move, head against Sukuna's arm. And I guess the cursed energy isn't going to stop it. It's just going to move past the cursed energy. Unless the cursed energy were to literally just destroy the sword. But it doesn't destroy the sword, as
Okay.
you see.
Okay, now to that I'll say, I mean, it makes sense, like this one way interaction that helps you because like one, Sukuna is using his cleave to act upon this sword, well not cleave, but this mantle or whatever. He's using this to act upon the sword. Earlier, you agreed that the sword is a cursed object, and cursed objects have energy. So either way, two ways, this just doesn't help your point whatsoever.
I mean, could you prove that like cursed tools have cursed energy external to the sword itself rather than internal to the sword? Or does Sky leave? Okay, Avster. So for your point to go through,
Wait,
it would
sorry.
work like this.
Wait, repeat everything you said. I accidentally moved the stage. My bad.
So Avster, for your point to go through to just sort of critique like the debunk of the soul split katana argument. If Sukuna's forearm was shooting out at this mantle and then it hit the sword, and then the sword had some cursed energy to sort of defend against that, attack coming from the forearm, the issue would arise of the sword itself would be destroyed to some extent until it got to the cursed energy, unless the cursed energy is external to the blade to some extent. And I don't think you could prove that there's any cursed energy external to the blade.
So I'm not sure if your mic cut out or my Wi-Fi lagged up. You said that like the sword would get destroyed by the cleave or something. You cut out like right about there.
Yeah, it would get destroyed by the cleave unless on the condition of the cursed energy of the blade. Sorry, what was I going to say? The cursed energy of the blade actually being outside of the blade to some extent so that it can interact with the curse technique being fired, which is made out of curse energy, to stop it from destroying the sword by moving past the curse energy.
Didn't you grant that the sword doesn't get cut or destroyed when it gets hit by cleave?
Just hit by
Regardless of
cleave. That's
the
a
panel
different
you
sword.
not
That's
cleave dismantle,
Yuta's
but
sword.
whatever the stats are.
No, that's Yuta's sword. That's not Maki's sword.
Oh well, I'm just gonna send the panel then of
I mean, Yuta's
dismantle
sword.
and
You
stuff.
could also argue. I mean, Yuta's sword. You could also argue is a cursed tool, but I mean,
Okay, I'm just gonna send the panel of Maki blocking Sukuna's dismantles with the soul split katana, which let me just get that real quick. Or I'm being like just or let me just check that real quick. Does Maki fight post 256? I mean post 250. Let's see.
Maki fights in chapter 262 of the story, I think, or it's 53.
I'm going for like earlier fight. Let me see.
Which fight?
The fight where she fights Sukuna. Okay, so I mean, it doesn't like okay. In this, I'm just in these two panels. Let me see if there's a background real quick. Okay, yeah, no, there's no two panels. Well, okay, I'm just gonna send this one where it's pretty much implied that she used the sword to block cleave. I mean, dismantle. Let's send them. They're out of order, but panel or the page is just it shows Sukuna shooting these slashes at Maki or the slash at Maki, and the very next panel it shows her blocking with sword.
Are you talking about when I guess like holy shit?
I sent the panels in chat right here.
You're talking about when he cuts through the car and then she's blocking it with the sword?
I can't even. Oh, man.
What did you just say? Sorry.
Scan my own scans. Just give me a second.
Okay. Avster. I kind of realized like a mistake I made in this debate, so I kind of want to like clarify it for you. Holy shit. My bad. You listening? This guy's not listening. Holy shit.
All right, hello.
Yeah, sir, are you there? I want to explain something to you. I kind of made a mistake during this debate.
All right. Yes, sir. My Discord's bugged, but all right, yeah. What do you want to say?
Sukuna does use cleaves on Yuta's sword, or dismantles, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, Yuta's sword isn't like some crazy supernatural sword that just has like beyond regular sword levels of durability, because those things would just get like destroyed by like any regular like attack in JJK, especially more so by an attack from Sukuna, one of the strongest people in the series. So it does seem like there is some cursed energy that's like outside of weapons in JJK. So I will concede on that point. That doesn't really debunk the soul split katana argument, but I would just say against like when Sukuna is fighting Maki, he probably isn't using like motionless slashes because one Maki can kind of notice when like the air changes and shit and the environment around her changes. So given that, she would probably notice when Sukuna does fire out a dismantle or whatever. Rather, it just seems to be the case that like the sword actually has to fucking penetrate people for it to cut their souls.
Wait. Okay, wait. Like, I'm just a little confused here. So you're saying, okay, so I said that one again that the sword penetrates through somebody first to cut them, which is not stated. It's stated it cuts through things to cut the soul. I'll also statement, but also about like Cole seeing the cleaves thing. Yeah, I grant. Oh, wait, why did you ping me? Oh,
I'm
okay.
picking you in this
Yeah,
scan. I'm trying to say in this scan, he isn't shooting out a motionless slash from the forearm to the blade to, I guess, stop the blade from cutting into his skin and into his soul.
How can we verify that?
Okay. The way in which we can verify that is because Maki can sense when Sukuna uses his curse technique. If she can sense when Sukuna uses his curse technique, and he just did a motionless slash there, it wouldn't be a big surprise for us in the manga a chapter later when Kusakabe notices for the first time that, well, I guess we notice for the first time and we're informed for the first time that Sukuna can shoot out motionless slashes without moving his arms whatsoever. He doesn't have to shoot them from his palms or whatever. They can just come out of his body without us even noticing.
Wait, wait. That is supposed to be a surprise to us. Doesn't he literally do it earlier in the manga? He does. Wait, how is that? That's surprise for
arguably, but we don't see, so we don't really have enough evidence to say that we would know if he did or didn't.
Wait, first of all, there's a big issue of this even being supposed to be a surprise to us. It's a surprise to Kusakabe. Two, even like if we see on panel that he doesn't use his hands and like he's actively slashing somebody, which I can send if you want. There's just it's pretty clear that that point just makes literally no sense. Where's the handle about that? Oh yeah. And hello. The guy cut out or what?
No, you didn't cut out. You're fine. I can still hear you.
No, okay. Oh yeah. By the way, oh yeah. I'm no longer. Apparently, I might actually still be in the ghetto because it's like a very nice neighborhood. Like it looks nice, but like there's just like constant sirens and stuff like that. Maybe it's because like the police, really want to, just lock in around us, or high class people. Let me see. Uh, okay, yeah. I mean, if you want to like use your own random headcanon translation like TCB or whatever, that's fine. But I'll say, let me
translation. What? I didn't send you a statement.
No, I'm saying like earlier you used some translation, but I'm just gonna send this one here. It's stated that Maki, I mean the Soul Split Katana, it just it bypasses the toughness of substances, and I'm like to cut the soul. It's not. It has to penetrate through them to cut the soul, which even though that would even make you cut through Sukuna, who's stronger than herself. Regardless, more consistent with the series statement. Let's get it.
I mean, the TCP translation is oftentimes more accurate than the Viz translation because the Viz translation literally said in chapter, I don't know, 266 or 267 that the multiple of Sukuna's curse techniques were sealed inside of Yuji because he ate one of Sukuna's fingers, which is stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Obviously, he didn't have multiple curse techniques. He only had one, which was Shrine. So I mean that's just one of the like notoriously really bad like Viz translations. They also said that